Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm one of your hosts, Brian, joined with the other host,
Karen.
And this is going to be another vinyl collection episode.
Yes.
Our second or third, whatever it works out to be. The first episode or two episodes, however we cut it, I don't know, will be Metallica, all Metallica, our box sets and just normal Metallica collection. This time, though, we're going to do our sort of Slipknot and Corey Taylor section of our collection.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll dive right in and I guess start with that.
Yep.
And the first album, again, so these go in order of chronological order that we have them in, like the album releases and whatnot. And the first one we have is Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat on vinyl. This is Slipknot's demo album that was released on CD. I bought this in high school on eBay. They had 5 or 6 different colored pressings that you could get, and I ended up getting the white pressing. They had green, purple, blue, red. They had so many different color pressings. All of them numbered to 200. This is number 39 out of 200. Later found out that this is actually a bootleg.
I was going to say, I don't think that's real.
It was not released on vinyl ever, which is really a shame. This is such a good fucking album. I love this album so much. It's got rough cuts of songs, not really rough cuts, but the first sort of iteration of some songs that would be added later on onto Slipknot, and they are changed slightly. And then there's other stuff on here that is so fucking far out there. It's such a great album. It gives an insight into a band with so many members bringing their collective individualities and individual music taste into it to create something new and unique.
Yeah.
It's so fucking awesome. And this is pre-Corey Taylor, so the vocal is... I can't remember who the vocalist is. He went on tour last year with A Killer's Confession in Australia, I think.
Yes.
And did this album in its entirety on that tour, which would have been fucking awesome to see. I hope he's around. I need to do some research, see if he's around in the States touring and whatnot, and hopefully we can make it to a show. But that is really fucking awesome. It's a great album, for sure. And I think I played it for you once, and you're like, who is this?
Yeah.
This is Slipknot. And you're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it doesn't. I mean, Slipknot has a sound, and it does not sound like Slipknot.
Some of it does, some of it doesn't, for sure. Yeah.
I do have to say, for a bootleg copy, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of bootleg, at cons and, stuff like that, and it's just like a printed off piece of paper, and this looks pretty good.
The quality of it's really good. The sleeve that it comes in is really good. I'm glad I got it when I got it because I can't really find it that often anymore on eBay. You can't even buy this on Discogs anymore. I can add it to my collection, but you can't buy and sell it because it is a bootleg.
A bootleg.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Next one we get is Slipknot, the first album. This is a green pressing. I think this is an original pressing of the album. Clearly got this in high school and just been sitting in my collection ever since. It gets played, not regularly, but it gets played a decent amount of times. And the first thing I did want to point out, this first song, I believe it is, this digit here, the numbers that the first song is, that's the UPC code for Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat. When it came out on CD.
Yeah, I had heard that was the first song. You could tell that you've had this album for a while just because it's not as well taken care of because we used to not put our sleeves in sleeves.
Yeah, no, it would sit in a shelf forever since high school for damn near 20 years now. So.
At one time we had a turtle that sat above it and water evaporated onto the record.
I don't know if this one was affected, but sure.
I don't know if this one was, but
awesome album as well. Next then, of course, is Iowa. Includes free poster, and the poster's in there as well. I'm not going to pull it out. But this, I believe, is original pressing as well. This is the album that got me into vinyl collecting and record collecting. I've said the story before, and it's dented here in the corner and whatnot, whatever. I don't give a shit. It still plays fine. It still sounds amazing when you play it. But the weekend after Christmases, my dad would take us to the mall and around town and whatnot to spend any money we got or return any gifts that we got duplicates of or didn't want or something along those lines. And he would always buy us a calendar as well that New Year's weekend and whatnot. It was probably after New Year's that we went because calendars would, hopefully be on sale type thing, because you know what I mean. You probably already have your calendar. Anywho, so he buys us a calendar, let us go out and choose out what calendar we wanted and whatnot. And in Merle Hay Mall, like back when it was sort of almost at its peak, I think the Laser X had closed down, the arcade had closed down, so mall was in its decline. But
because of the arcade,
the arcade was awesome. The laser tag and everything was it's an awesome mall. It was an awesome arcade. But on the other corner by like where Sears was, you had Suncoast for movies. I think that was Suncoast was movies. Then you had like Sam Goody. Is Sam Goody it's not Sam Goody.
Sam Goody, I thought was like where you could buy like cassette players and stuff, or like DVD players and stuff.
Maybe it was Sam Goody. Yeah.
Okay.
So they had the movie store, then they had the music store, then they had KB Toys, then they had the bookstore, a computer/game store, all in this little corner of the mall. And I'd always go there. I'd go get like Dragon Ball Z DVDs or VHSs actually at the time. Pre-order those. I got like the Simpson DVD collection, season 1. Then you'd go across the road and you'd get music. Anywho, it was in that music store. I think it was Sam Goody. They were owned, like the movie and Suncoast and Sam Goody were owned by the same company, which I think became FYE or FYI, whatever it is. Anywho, going in there, walking around, I just had gotten into metal, starting to explore metal, and found out about Slipknot and loved Slipknot. And I saw this sitting on like an end cap or something. I was like, fucking yes, a Slipknot calendar. I need to get this. So I grabbed it. It was like $30 or whatever it was. Like, that's a fucking expensive calendar. But it comes with a free poster, so maybe that's why. Took it to my dad and like, this is the calendar I want. I know it's expensive. I'm sorry, it's not on sale, whatever. But this is the calendar I want. Kind of looks at it, looks at me, looks at it, starts laughing, and he's like, this isn't a calendar. This is music. I was like, yeah, Slipknot is music. I know. No. This right here is music. This is what I listened to music on when I was a kid. Before CDs and before cassettes, you had vinyl records. And I knew what a record was, but I don't think I've actually seen one or held one. And I felt so stupid. And I was like, okay. Didn't get it that day. But that is where I was like, all right, now I want a record player. And that's when I ended up buying a record player, or what led me to go down the path of buying a record player. And then this was definitely one of the first albums I bought once I got a record player because of that. For the longest time, this was super fucking expensive on the secondary market.
Oh, really?
Because it was only pressed, I think, that once in the early 2000s and never again. Until we get to our next album, which is the repressing of Iowa on sort of this gray vinyl, I believe. A clear vinyl.
When did you get this? Was recent, right?
This was recent. They've been doing their repressings of a lot of their albums in the last couple of years or so, and this is within the last year or so on a clear vinyl. Figured I'd get this, and I don't know why not. I shouldn't have. I have it already, so I don't know why I got it again.
I think we talked about this in the Metallica one. That I honestly thought we had like 3 or 4 copies of, or 4 or 5 copies of 72 sessions.
72 seasons, yeah.
72 seasons. Sorry, we say it wrong all the time, and like it's in my brain the wrong way. But we only have 2. But I know we have a few Slipknots that are duplicates as well.
Anywho, next Slipknot.
Yep.
We get Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. Great album. I remember going to see this. My first Slipknot shows when this came out, and yeah, I love it. It's such a great album. It's not an original one. I think this is like a Black Friday pressing or something along those lines. I think you found it at Reckless one day, and we ended up just getting it.
Getting it there, yeah. Man, we haven't been to a record store for a while. Well, I guess when we went to Denver, we went, but I miss just going and looking at albums.
Along with those repressings, we only have 1 copy of this, unlike Iowa. And again, I don't know why we fucking do it. I get sucked into buying multiple copies because of the pressing. Then we get All Hope Is Gone, another great album of theirs. I love this album as well. After Subliminal Verses, a great fucking follow-up.
So what does the degrees mean? Like there's 225, 315. I don't know if there's one. I can't read.
Wait, where do you see that?
It's like on.
Oh shit! I don't even notice that. Yeah.
There's like a.
It's a Slipknot start. I've never noticed that before. Like on the vinyl itself, it's really hard to see.
Yeah, I doubt if we can get it on camera.
But it's like this faded. It's a Slipknot star with all the degrees around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know what the degrees mean.
I don't know if it's just degrees around the points, like the points where they
like
make
45 degrees
in the circle.
135. Maybe it's just the degree. I was thinking like, is that like the No, because that would be like longitude and latitude of like Des Moines or something. I don't know. I was trying to make it seem. Oh, and on the back it's there too.
Oh, is it?
Yep. And there's a 20 in the middle. Gosh, that's hard to see.
I have never noticed that.
I've never noticed that either. Good thing we're doing this episode so we can actually look at our vinyl that we own. Huh, that's really cool. It's hard to see. Maybe without the plastic it would be a little bit easier, but.
Yeah, and this is a repressing. It's on this bright yellow. The goal was to get everything Slipknot's released on vinyl. I love vinyl. It's a collection. It's also like a hobby type thing where you want to get all of the collection. You got to collect them all type thing.
Pokemon?
Yeah, just like Pokemon. But hadn't got this on like an original pressing or whatnot. And again, I don't care about original pressings that much. I do like colored vinyl a lot. And so when this got re-released and it's sort of like this bright yellow, I was like, fuck it. I'll do that. I'll take that. Add it to the collection and just one more way. I think when we get through this, we'll end up having all of the Slipknot.
Do we have all of them? I was going to ask if we had all of them.
The one we might not is their first sort of live album that they did.
Oh, but live albums are a little bit different.
They are a little different. Yeah, we got all the studio albums, I'm pretty sure. We'll find out as we go through this. Then we get 0.5, The Gray Chapter. An album I actually don't listen to that often.
Yeah, I was going to say we don't really pull this out.
There's really good stuff on here, but also it's just one that I sort of slipped. When this came out, I really wasn't into metal all that much. I was sort of going down different paths in music and whatnot. And yeah, just something I never really picked up and revisited. Like I said, we've listened to all of our vinyl at least once. So yeah, I'm not sure why this one never like hit a chord with me, but it is a good album.
We don't really I don't know. I feel like we gravitate to the same albums every time. Or if we have new ones, that's what we listen to that week.
And again, it's one of those repressings they just did recently on this sort of light pink sort of vinyl. Then we get We Are Not Your Kind.
This is when we were getting back into metal.
Yes, very heavily. And this album is fucking awesome. I love this album. This is, I think, a first pressing as well. It's on this sort of blue vinyl, one of the variants you could buy when it came out.
I remember listening to Unsainted. Oh my gosh, I probably listened to that 10 times a day. And I remember listening to it so much that you kind of got annoyed with me listening to it so much.
I also listened to it a fuck ton when it came out.
So maybe that's why you got so annoyed that I was listening to it so much.
And I got... Oh, put this away first. Yeah, I listened to it a fuck ton too when it came out, and I kind of got burnt out on it. Or I didn't, because I just listened to it the other day, honestly. I put it on, I really want to listen to Unsainted. So I put it on and listened to it. And I don't know if when it came out and I was listening to it a lot and then you were listening to it a lot, I was afraid I'd get burnt out if I kept hearing it over and over. And maybe that's why I got upset, where it's like, stop fucking playing this song. I don't want it to get burnt out. It's such a good song. I don't want to hate it in 30 fucking months after being released. But yeah, we were starting our journey back into metal, back down the path here with this, and we actually had been getting into metal for quite a while before this.
We were, yeah.
But this came out at a great time for us, and fell in love with this album.
Because this came out in 2019, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because it came out right before. Well, at least Unsainted came out. I don't know if the full album did, but it came out right before Chicago Open Air 2019, which was a shit show. And that's when I was listening to it a lot in the hotel room.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes.
And it was rain. There was a rain delay. There was just shit happening. It was stupid. But I think that maybe it was everything together. I was listening to it on my phone without headphones in or anything. And I think you just got to the point where
yeah, that was
I don't want to
definitely
listen to
it.
this
I remember
anymore.
that now.
Yeah.
One complaint about this album, and it's happened recently with a lot of albums, is they will release a band will release a single before an album comes out. And then the album comes out, and then that song that was released as a single isn't actually on the album.
Yeah.
So I think We Are Not Your Kind
It's not on here.
is not on here.
Yeah.
Amon Amarth does it with Put Your Back Into the Ore. That's not on an album. It's just a single by itself.
Ghost has a couple of those too.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. They did release a 7-inch, and we have the 7-inch of it. It was part of, I think, a Black Friday sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we did end up getting it on vinyl, but it was frustrating that that song wasn't a part of the album. And maybe that's just the way the music genre is going. I remember Disturbed. I can't remember who in Disturbed was doing an interview or something, and they're like, "Yeah, we might not ever do another album. we might be done making albums
Really?
and just doing singles because
Was
he's
that
like,
Dan that said that?
I think so.
Huh.
Because he's like, that's sort of the way the industry is going now. Is it's all single based.
With streaming, you don't really need albums to release, but I like getting albums because then we can buy vinyl or
Yeah, and like the whole idea of like a concept album where this album is all one theme or about one subject, and we're gonna dive deep into that and write music all about this one centralized component or thought. You can possibly lose that, and I love concept albums. I love that kind of feel. So having multiple songs, especially like at the time Slipknot wrote this, they're different people than they were for Point 5, which is different people than they were for Subliminal Verses, right? So like every album's different and it's a point in time. So like getting a glimpse into you as the artist, it's awesome to see and feel that vibe because it changes as the years go. All these albums are so different. So I really hope albums don't go away. I hope bands keep making them and they don't fall in this trap of what I would consider a trap of we're just going to do singles. Like, don't fucking do that.
But if you look at the new bands, there's a lot of them that have, I don't know, 20 songs, but they have no albums. I've seen that a lot when like finding a new band on Instagram or something. I go look at their Spotify and it's like, oh, they have a lot of songs, but they have no albums.
Vended was that way when we were adding their stuff to the playlist. It's a lot of singles and maybe like a one EP or something. And it's like, we don't have an album out yet, but we've got a lot of music out. We're working on an album. It's like, I want a fucking album. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anywho, We Are Not Your Kind. Great album. Then we're getting to the end of Slipknot, or the end for now.
Good transition there.
I wasn't meaning to do it, but I also kind of was. I always get this album wrong because we have The End for Now, which is actually supposed to be The End So Far or something like that.
The End So Far, yeah.
It went to the pressing when they first came out, and it was the wrong name. I don't know if it got changed last minute, and it was already produced or what. Somebody fucked up somewhere, potentially. Obviously, somebody did. But yeah, The End for Now, or The End So Far. And this is a bright pink pressing. I'll pull this out real quick.
Oh, it is like really, really bright. I guess the sleeves do good to protect it, but they're not that clear.
Yeah, they're not like super clear, but at least you can like get an idea of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And again, I love the colored vinyl. I love the marble vinyl, especially the splatter and all that. So being able just to quickly look at it without having to dig it out of the shit is great.
Out of the sleeve.
Yeah, I'm struggling with words.
Yes.
All right, and to your point, we have multiple copies of this. We have this one on the bright pink, and then we have this sort of white one as well. I think the white might be a Knotfest member exclusive.
Oh, was it?
That you had to be like, a member to get that. And then the bright pink was something else. We have it all on Discogs. We'll have to take a look and figure out what exactly it's sort of classified as. But one of them was definitely a Knotfest exclusive. I wanted to get that for that exclusive color variant. And then they released the other variant for another exclusive for another reason or whatnot. And they, of course, had to have it for that collectability reason. But these are just two pressings of probably 14 that they have out there of different colors or styles.
You even wanted to buy even more than what we have of this album.
I did, yeah.
And I think I was like, no.
I
don't say no very often, but I said no.
I know when this came out, a lot of people hated it, or didn't hate. They just didn't like it as much as they were kind of shitting on it for like, this isn't Slipknot. It doesn't sound like Slipknot. There's a lot in here that is sort of pushing the boundary a little bit and like exploring different styles of music and a different approach to music. This, when I heard this, it instantly reminded me of Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat.
Oh.
And like hearing that and hearing how different it was from what the first album, Slipknot, became. And it reminded me a lot of that, where it's like, oh, you guys are going off in weird directions, doing weird things. This is fucking awesome. I love it. Do more weird shit like this. Explore and write fun, new music. But I also get from another fan perspective of like, this sounds so much different. It doesn't sound like you. I want you to write music that sounds like you. I understand that, but I don't agree with that.
I think we talk about that a lot. We've had this conversation a lot in different episodes, but I agree with you where new fun things are fun, but also when you're a fan, sometimes when you hear the new fun things, it's like, but this doesn't sound like you.
Yeah. And there is stuff in here that does sound like them. I think like Yin and the Dying song is very, very much Slipknot sounding. But then
those are the two
shit.
I listen to.
Yeah.
So.
But then there's other shit that's just sort of all over the place. And they fuck around with sounds on this album so much where I hear it and I get like, oh, this is kind of theme parky, but creepy theme parky.
Yeah, yeah.
They do really, really cool stuff. And it reminds me a little bit of sort of Grateful Dead's Drums in Space, where they just go out on stage and for like 10, 15 minutes do this percussion sort of set where they have 12 different types of drums and sounds, and they just start beating on shit and making weird sounds and shit, and it all melds together and it gets very trippy. That is sort of what I was hoping for a live show here. Is I wanted like a Slipknot version of Grateful Dead's drums, but like Slipknot doing it with, and I could see them doing it with some of this music here where it's like you're just fucking around with sounds. There's no like heavy guitar riffs or shit like that. Again, it's fun. I love it. I want more of it. And I lied. We actually have more Slipknot. Our final one, which was just released, our last one, live at Madison Square Garden. So we do have one of the live pressings. And this is sort of a black and yellow splatter.
See, now that from the Metallica one that we were talking about, this is the color I would think the Metallica album would be, but it turned out a little bit more greenish.
Yeah, and this is yellow and
gray.
Yellow and gray splatter. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It was the Metallica one was more marbly. This is definitely more splattery, which is weird to kind of mix.
Well, I think it just has more black in it, so it made it look a little bit more green.
Yep.
So.
And it's sort of translucent to the yellow aspect of it. I like this. This is fine. I wanted to get it to complete the collection, right? Live albums are great, especially I think they're great, especially for fans who like a band but don't love a band.
Yeah, we talked about that, about getting live albums for a few bands where it's like we like a few of their songs, but we don't necessarily need to buy their entire collection.
Yeah, it's essentially a best out of, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get their best music or their most popular music, which is probably the songs that, like you're saying, you like as a fan who doesn't need to get super deep into the catalog.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ends the
Metallica. That ends the Metallica.
That ends the Slipknot section. Now we get into adjacent Corey Taylor.
Yes.
And we start with Stone Sour, their first album. When this came out, when they all went and did their solo things, this, I think, by far was the best of the 3 solo projects they had. It's such a great album. I love it. You found this at Reckless Again.
Okay. You remember these things so much better than me.
This was a Black Friday release that you were just digging through their bin and you found it. It's like, oh, we should get this. And I was like, yes, we definitely should get this album. Like I said, this, of the 3 that came out, the solo projects, this was my favorite. My second favorite is actually Sean's solo, To My Surprise.
Oh.
I heard that. A friend made a compilation disc and gave it to me, and they had a song on there. And I heard that. I was like, ooh, what the fuck is this? And I looked into it, and it's like, oh, wait, that's right. Sean Clown, he had his own solo project, too. I never really heard anything about that. And I got the CD and fucking loved it. I don't think they made vinyl. They only had the one album that came out. I thought there were rumors of like a second album possibly coming out, but then like the band sort of fell apart or whatnot. Murder Dolls was great. It was fine. But in my opinion, Stone Sour, then To My Surprise, and then Murder Dolls. It's just, To My Surprise, so fucking different than anything. Like very alternative, sort of rocky kind of indie sort of sound to it. But this album, love this album so much. I used to listen to it like nonstop all the time. Super fucking big fan of this album. The first 2 albums are great. After that, I kind of sort of stopped listening to the Stone Sour.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
But I hear their later albums are actually even better.
So really?
I need to pick those up.
We need to pick them up then.
Which we have House of Gold and Bones, Part 2. Another one you picked up just randomly. It's like, oh, we don't have this Stone Sour. Let's get that and listen to that. Again, we've listened to everything at least once. I know we've listened to this at least once, possibly more, but not something that I gravitate towards that often.
Yeah,
put back on.
Yeah. Are these the only 2 Stone Sour we have?
No, we have another.
Oh, we do? Oh, okay.
This is our last Stone Sour.
Yeah.
Straight out of Burbank. Again, another one you just found at a record store while digging, and boom, it was there. Let's get it. It's really cool sort of pressing, this weird splattery looking thing.
Weird splattery looking thing?
Yeah, exactly. Technical
Is this
terms.
like the booklet thing?
Yep, the little booklet came with it. Looks like a poster and whatnot.
No, it is a poster.
It's
huge.
Shit. It's actually a clear with this sort of brown smudge. Really fits the art of the album itself, which I love. I love when, like I said, the bands make pressings that match sort of the album art itself.
So this is Sailing On, Running Free, Gimme Shelter, Too Fast for Love, Seasons in the Abyss.
Oh,
so
this is their cover. Yeah, their covers. Okay.
Yeah. That's cool. Oh, I guess you had the songs right there too. I didn't need to read them off the... Oh, well.
I have to listen to that again. Seems like a quick
maybe this will
EP.
Maybe this will be a really fun thing because all these albums that we haven't looked at for a while.
Yeah. We did a thing a while ago. So when Sports Ball was on a few Sundays back, it's like the Bears' last game or some shit. I don't know. I don't care enough to listen to the commentators for football that often or sports ball in general. So that day we were cleaning and doing shit around the house. We just started on one end, picked one of the cubbies in our vinyl collection, pulled an album out, listened to it, put it away, went to the next cubby, grabbed a random one. And I tried to gravitate towards stuff that we didn't listen to that often or that had been a while since we listened to it. We should just do that again. We do put albums on quite a bit, or Nugs or some sort of streaming service, and listen to music sort of in the background. But like you said earlier, we sort of gravitate towards those same albums.
Same things, yeah.
From time to time, we'll go out and like, we haven't listened to this in a while. We kind of need to force ourselves to do that, especially with these records. Like that's part of the reason to buy the record is to listen to it.
Right, and obviously we don't want to go straight to finish in like the little cubbies because then it would be like, okay, we have to get through these 12 Slipknot albums or whatever the case is.
Yep.
So we do jump around a lot.
Which brings us to this one. This is a Record Store Day release. This is Corey Taylor. This is Corey Taylor on one side singing All This and More on side A. It's just one song on one side. Then you flip it to the other side, and you get Dead Boys singing the exact same song. Really kind of a cool concept. I got this at Record Store Day on Record Store Day, and I paid $19 for it.
It's a lot for two songs.
It is a lot for two songs. I messed up there. I should not have bought this.
That's fine.
Because you can now probably get it super cheap. But
probably.
I did want it because of Corey Taylor, and I got it. Didn't need to. And I need to get better at that, of like not...
I feel like Record Store Day is kind of a FOMO thing where we're like,
oh, for sure,
we need to get this now. And in reality, if you wait, you could just find it at a random record store or find it on Discogs or something.
It's really weird because Record Store Day releases will have shit that goes extremely expensive for some fucked up reason. Somebody like there's a reason it got expensive. Dressing Dolls is a good example of that, where if you want it, you have to get it that day, or it's going to jump in price drastically. Most of the shit though is the complete opposite, where 2 months later it's going to be drastically reduced because it's just sitting on shelves that nobody wants. Or maybe not drastically reduced, but you'll get it at a cheaper price, especially on secondary markets. You'll get it for a decent price.
Yeah, a lot of times at record stores they're not on sale, but
yep. Then we get CMFT, Corey Taylor's first solo album. This we have 2 copies of.
I'm gonna start taking note of how many we have 2 copies of.
This is interesting though.
Oh,
we bought this. It's a signed copy. And it's not really a signed copy. It's this insert that you get that's signed by Corey Taylor, this little squiggle here. To be fair, I do sign my name with the squiggle too. So,
you do like a B and squiggle.
Yeah. So I can see the C there in Corey Taylor. And both of them are signed. We've got the same insert for both of them. It's this gold sort of pressing. Again, I love this album. This is such a great fucking album. I will listen to this all the time. I still do. I do feel like the album itself is sort of all over the place in terms of the music and the style.
I like that.
I do like it too. You get some really cool bluesy bits, some really cool rocky bits. There's some rap elements in there. Tech Nine's on this album.
Well, you were talking about what is it? The End for Now?
Yeah.
What's the album actually called?
The End So Far.
The End So Far, but the album that we have says The End for Now or whatever.
Yeah.
But for that, we were talking about how a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't sound like Slipknot. They try out new things or whatever. I think that's why I like these Corey Taylor albums, because it is all over the place. It's like you don't have to stick to Corey Taylor sings XYZ, so I'm going to play only XYZ songs. It like really shows the depth of the artist and like what they can do and like just playing around sort of thing.
I saw an interview or a headline from Ozzy not too long ago where he basically said he doesn't necessarily like the title of Prince of Metal or Prince of Darkness, like the Godfather of Metal or like those type of titles that he gets, because he looks at his music he's written and he's like, my music's not heavy. It's not heavy metal. Like, I listen to other bands like Slipknot. That's fucking heavy. Lamb of God, that's fucking heavy. The shit I wrote, that's not heavy. I don't know why I get lumped into this heavy metal sort of categorization. And he doesn't like it because then it's sort of, you hear it with actors, like typecasting.
Yeah.
You as an artist are now typecast into, you write metal, that's all you can do. Is that what you were just saying?
Yeah.
And seeing, I agree with you 100%. Stuff like this with Corey Taylor where he can go out and say, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. It's my album. Fuck it, I'm doing it. And you get, it's all over the place. So it's really fun. That's my only complaint, which is a very, very small complaint with this album, is that it is all over the place. There's not that through line.
Yeah.
But I do really enjoy it.
Yeah. I remember we listened to it recently in the car, probably 8 months ago now. And when it got over, I was like, that's so weird. Like, just basically, like, it's so all over. We said all over the place like 3 times now, so I wanted to try to come up with a different word, but it's all over the place.
This one, the second copy we have, as you can see, you do get the insert. That's how it came. You got the insert in the box with it. This is unopened still. Still in the original shrink wrap that it came with. I don't know what the fuck happened. There was some sort of error in shipping at whoever sent this out, because we only bought one, but we got 2 in the mail.
Yep.
2 completely separate packages, too. So somehow a second label got slapped on one for us. So the second label came out to us, and we got this in the mail. It's like, oh, all right, well, fuck it. So I didn't open this one. Still in its sleeve. The thought was, all right, maybe I'll sell it someday. Try to use that money to buy the next album that we get, or if we ever do giveaways or something, maybe this is something that we can just throw in as a giveaway.
Yeah.
But that's why we have 2 of this one. I did not buy 2 copies.
I remember that. After I was going to give you shit about having 2, I remember just getting one randomly in the mail.
And then the last one probably for this episode is CMF2, the second Corey Taylor album. Again, I really like this album. I like the first one a little bit better. This one does have more of a cohesive feel to it, I think. But I do like this album a lot. This is also, when this came out, he did a tour, and we were lucky enough to get to see his tour.
We did.
Which
for
is
this
awesome.
One. Yeah. I really like how he does his tours too. I know this is about the albums, not the tour, and we have a whole episode on it. But I like where you get some of his original stuff, you get some Stone Sour, you get some Slipknot. I think it's very cohesive.
And this is on this like little pink vinyl here. This is not in a sleeve because it's sort of like this double vinyl. Those sleeves we have don't always fit well with these sort of gate-folded vinyls. But I kept the original sort of sleeve it came with. But I did replace them with these clear ones so we can...
I think that's purple, not pink.
Did I say pink? I meant purple.
You said pink.
Yeah.
But when it was in there, I was like, well, maybe it's a little bit more pink than what it's coming through with the sleeve. But
All right, but yeah, that is the end of the
end so far?
Slipknot. The end so far of the Slipknot and Corey Taylor sort of section. We don't have any murder dolls. Otherwise, that would be in this sort of lump of our collection as well.
And then Clown, it was only a CD. You said.
I think it was only a CD.
What was it? What was his band?
To My Surprise.
To My Surprise, yes.
Great fucking indie sounding band. It's so fucking good. It's a very surprising album compared to what you would expect from Clown. Great fucking album. I would love it on vinyl someday. Anywho, that's the end so far for this episode. Well, I guess it is the end for this episode.
It is the end for this episode. The end so far for our album collection.
Yes, there'll be more of those coming down the pipeline. Probably many, many more of these when we get around to it.
We thought we would do like 6 or 8, 10 episodes, and I think we're gonna be at like a lot.
Yep.
I don't know how we're gonna do this.
So yeah. Thanks for watching. Go explore, find some music, and yeah.
Bye.